May 18, 1941, the Bismarck, a German battleship, and the Prinz Eugen, a heavy cruiser, left the port of Gdynia in Poland on a secret mission in the Atlantic. Their mission was to break the Allied blockade and disrupt the flow of supplies and war materials to Britain, and force the Empire to withdraw from World War II. On May 20th at 1 p.m., while passing through Kattegat, the German battle group was spotted by the Swedish aircraft carrier Gotland. After navigating along the Norwegian coast, both ships arrived at the port of Bergen for a final resupply. Given the Royal Navy's dominance in the North Sea, the commander of the Bismarck, Admiral Gunther Lugens, hoped to remain undetected. However, he was unaware that a British reconnaissance Spitfire had already spotted them. After taking photographs of the battle group, the Spitfire returned them to the British Admiralty. The Royal Navy then deployed HMS Prince of Wales, along with the mighty battlecruiser HMS Hood and 6 swift destroyers, to hunt down the German battle group. The HMS Hood, a magnificent ship and the pride of the Royal Navy, was getting ready to face a formidable opponent. The World War I veteran and experienced commander Lugens led the battle group towards the Denmark Strait with the hope that the deteriorating weather conditions would assist them in escaping into the Atlantic without being detected. On the evening of May 23rd, they arrived at the boundary of the ice formation and adjusted their direction to follow the coast of Greenland. Even though the weather was unfavorable, the German battle group was detected by HMS Suffolk thanks to its advanced and long-range radar. 1 hour later, the Bismarck sighted another large cruiser positioned on its port side. The Bismarck fired a salvo towards the Suffolk, but she managed to escape by moving behind a smokescreen. The next morning at dawn, the Prinz Eugen detected 2 heavy ships on her port side. The HMS Hood, the pride of the British Navy, and the Prince of Wales caught a glimpse of the Germans. Now, the British ships were evenly matched with the German battle group. At 5:52 a.m., the Hood initially targeted Prinz Eugen from 12 miles away, but quickly switched to target the Bismarck itself. At 5:55 a.m., the Bismarck and the Prince of Wales fired back. The 2 ships exchanged damaging blows, and the Bismarck suffered an oil leak and a fire. The battle continued, and at 6 a.m., a new salvo tore through the top deck armor of the HMS Hood. The entire spine of the ship snapped as the ammunition magazine under deck exploded, and both rear turrets were blown into the sea. The mighty Hood, the pride of the British Navy, sank within seconds with only 3 of the crew members surviving. The Prince of Wales, now outnumbered and taking punishing hits, decided to disengage and conceded its defeat. The British Admiralty was shocked and furious by the loss of the mighty Hood, and ordered all possible assets in the area to hunt down the Bismarck. As the search continued, other ships already patrolling the Atlantic joined the mission. The Norfolk, Suffolk, and damaged Prince of Wales shadowed the German battle group at safe distance and refrained to engage due to their lighter profiles. The British ships provided updates on the Bismarck's position to reinforcements comprising HMS Repulse, HMS King George V, and HMS Victorious. The German ships decided to split their forces, with the undamaged Prinz Eugen continuing the raiding mission alone, while Bismarck led the British ships away. The commander of Prinz Eugen committed to getting help from all available U-boats in the area to support. The Bismarck briefly fired on the pursuing ships to cover Prinz Eugen's escape, and the German cruiser managed to slip away unharmed. At 10 p.m., the HMS Victorious approached from the east steering through bad weather. The aircraft carrier launched 9 Swordfish bombers from a distance of 120 miles. In adverse flying conditions and facing fierce German shelling, the aircraft succeeded in landing a lone torpedo strike below the ridge of the Bismarck. However, the damage was minimal due to the Bismarck's impressively built armor and anti-torpedo bulges. As the night falls, the chasing British ships were no longer able to detect the German battleship on the radar and called off the pursuit due to low fuel. Meanwhile, the Bismarck steered its course southeastward towards occupied France. Later, Lugens, thinking that the British were still following him, sent a radio message to the Kriegsmarine, breaking the radio silence. As a result, the British signal intelligence was able to estimate the general location of the Bismarck. Consequently, they dispatched long-range RAF Catalina flying boats to locate it. By chance, the aircraft caught sight of the trail of Bismarck's oil slick on the surface of the sea. The Bismarck was finally located just short of 700 miles from the French port of Brest. However, if the Bismarck continues at its current speed, it will be under the cover of the Luftwaffe and U-boats in a matter of hours. The British had only one chance to stop the German battleship. They assembled a naval force called Force H, made up of the Ark Royal aircraft carrier, renowned battlecruiser, and Sheffield cruiser, and ordered them to leave the port of Gibraltar. A few hours later, the carrier Ark Royal launched Swordfish torpedo bombers. However, the pilots were unaware that the light cruiser Sheffield had used its speed to catch up with the Bismarck and was shadowing it. In terrible weather conditions, the pilots mistakenly dropped their torpedoes against HMS Sheffield. Luckily, the new and untested magnetic detonators in the torpedoes malfunctioned and exploded prematurely, allowing Sheffield to escape unscathed. 15 Swordfish have launched once again. They approached the Bismarck from various directions and dropped torpedoes equipped with old contact detonators. The German battleship sustained critical damage from 2 torpedo hits, one of which jammed her rudders and disabled her steering. The Germans sent a distress signal to the Kriegsmarine that the ship was not maneuverable, and they will fight to the last shell. The Royal Navy repositioned itself overnight for the final engagement, with destroyers continuously launching torpedo attacks at the Bismarck. Even though she may be disabled, the guns that sank HMS Hood in just 6 minutes were still a threat. The next morning at 8:43 a.m., HMS Rodney and King George V approached the Bismarck from the northwest. Both battleships fired their main guns, and the German battleship responded with a full broadside against them. The 55-second flight time of the massive barrage was intense, but the shells fell short of the British ships. The 2 heavy cruisers Norfolk and Dorsetshire joins the engagement with their 8-inch guns from a range of 8 miles, while King George V and Rodney turned to bring their broadsides to bear. The Bismarck began to take hits to her superstructure, igniting deck fires. The fierce battle continued for 90 minutes. The German ship started to weaken under the ferocious bombardment. The Bismarck never raised a flag of surrender, and so the onslaught continued. Over an hour later, the British commanders cannot help but look at the Bismarck in awe and admiration. The mighty ship had taken a pounding, but remained afloat for now, a burning wreck that still defiantly flies her colors. Knowing that the job was done and the U-boats were nearby, the British ships withdrew. At 10:40 a.m., the German sailors set off the scuttling charges. The mighty Bismarck sank beneath the dark waves of the Atlantic Ocean, taking with it more than 2,000 German sailors. After the sinking, Admiral John Tovey of the Royal Navy said, "The Bismarck had put up a most gallant fight against impossible odds worthy of the old days of the Imperial German Navy, and she went down with her colors flying." The sinking of the Bismarck was a significant event in World War II and turned the course of the war. The Kriegsmarine gave up the idea of utilizing capital ships for attacking and instead favored U-boats, which caused havoc in the North Atlantic for the entire duration of the war.